Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today is June 12th, 2020. Today I'm going to be doing the Senate Battleground map. So these are the seats that are up for grabs in the United States Senate in the year 2020. As you can see, Republicans currently have 53 seats, Democrats have 47. If right now, I believe, I believe that if we clear everything, Democrats have 35 seats that are not up for grabs, and Republicans have 30 seats up for grabs, not up for grabs. But this is not prediction again. I'm just going to go the states that are contested. So without further ado, let's get started. Idaho, Montana, no, not Montana, my bad. Not Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, West Virginia, and the state of Alaska are safe Republicans. For Democrats, we got Oregon, Illinois, Delaware, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and that's about it. So with that, Republicans and Democrats are tied at 41-41 seats. For the likely Republican seats, we can have states like Texas. I don't believe Texas is going to be as contested as it was in 2016, but in 2018, because John Cornyn is not Ted Cruz, and the Democrats are not running a candidate that has as much energy as Ted Cruz, as Beto O'Rourke, which he visits every county. If you haven't seen a county map of Texas, there's a lot. The next state we have is the state of Kentucky. Mitch McConnell, very unpopular, but it's Kentucky. You still probably win, probably not by a safe margin, but still win. Then we also have South Carolina. Lindsey Graham, he's semi-popular, decent. I don't believe the polls in the state because it has Jamie Harrison up, but it's still South Carolina. It's still a Republican state. Lindsey Graham is probably going to win. And I think that's about it for likely Democrat states. New Mexico. New Mexico is interesting. It's usually a safe Democrat state, but in an open Senate seat, they usually get closer. I believe last time it was open was a couple years ago, and it was like around 9 points. No, yeah, somewhere around that. So it can get close in the state of New Mexico. Another likely state is Virginia. It's probably in the high likely region. Mark Warner is running for re-election. Virginia is trending heavily Democrat. And interesting enough, based on the 2010 census, there are more Republicans than Democrats, but I'm sure that changed when the 2020 census comes. But it's now a likely Democrat state. It should be a Republican state. You can tell times can change. The next state we have is not Maine, but the state of New Hampshire. Come on. State of New Hampshire, Jeanine Shaheen is running for re-election, and the Republicans are not investing much money into New Hampshire, so it's probably going to win by a likely margin because it could help. It's probably not going to go safe because New Hampshire is still a semi-competitive state. It could go red in 2020. You never know. It was close in 2016, and it probably can get closer. I think that's about it for the likely states. I don't want to put, one more likely state I forgot was the state of Minnesota. Minnesota, Tina Smith is running for her first full term. She won in a special election in 2018 with the riots. There could be higher turnout, but I had sources that say that more Republicans are registered voters now. So, because Minnesota is a trending Republican state, and it could get close, but Tina Smith is probably going to win. And that's about it. Now, I want to do again with our likely Republican states, but it's a flip. I'm going to say Alabama. I don't believe Alabama is going to be such a battleground state. Doug Jones won an election where there was extremely low Republican turnout, high Democrat turnout. Roy Moore was not a good candidate. And I don't think Alabama is going to stay with the Democrats. So that's Republicans' first flip. For the Democrats, since the Republicans are in a low point, I'm going to give the Democrats Colorado by likely. At this point in time, it's not going to be a battleground state because John Hickenlooper is seriously outperforming Cory Gardner, and Republicans are not in the best state right now with all of the things happening around the country. So I'm going to say it goes by a likely margin. And I think I forgot one more state, and that's Georgia at large. I don't believe even with Jon Ossoff winning a lot in the Democratic primary, it's going to go blue. David Perdue is very likely to outperform Donald Trump because Donald Trump is not the most popular Republican candidate in the state of Georgia, and David Perdue is. So I do believe the Georgia regular election is going to go by a likely margin. That's about it for likely. Now, for lean, there's not many because most of them are. Now I'm going to be doing the battleground. Let's start with the state of Montana. Come on. Okay. All right. That is so weird. So right now it's not letting me color it. Oh, what's going on? I don't. Let me delete it. Technical difficulties. And oh, finally. All right, there we go. I characterized Montana as a battleground state. Probably weird that I say Montana as a battleground, but here's the reason why. Because Montana likes to elect Democrats too. In 2018, they sent back incumbent John Tester, a Democrat from the state of Montana, and they're having a very strong candidate for the state of Montana, probably the strongest. The former governor Steve Bullock is running against incumbent Republican Senator Steve Daines. Is going to be very contested. For now, I'm still saying Steve Daines wins. I say it's more likely Montana is going to go red and North Carolina is going to go blue. I don't believe that if you can have North Carolina going blue and North Carolina go red, but Montana going blue, I don't really agree with that. I think Montana is going to go red. For the state of Arizona, not so much, but I still say is contested because Martha McSally did run in 2018. She only lost by 2 points, and the polls have like Mark Kelly up by 9, but I don't really believe that. Mark Kelly's probably gonna win, but like more around a lean margin. I don't believe it's gonna be such a blowout win as the polls are indicating, but I do believe that it still can be contested. Martha McSally can still win the seat. For the state of Kansas, we still have to wait on the primary runoff. Until then, Kansas is in a battleground area. Unless if the Republicans can get rid of Chris Kobach, it's going to be contested because Chris Kobach is not a good candidate. He did lose in 2018 for the governorship, and it's just not a good idea to run him. For the state of Iowa, it is going to be contested. It could be. but I could change that because this is a low point for the Republicans at the time. But in the state of Iowa, you have Joni Ernst running for re-election. And I believe the Democratic candidate is Teresa Greenfield, and she seems like she's a strong candidate, but I do believe Joni Ernst is still going to win, but it can be contested. Iowa is a very heavily trending Republican state, even at the low point for Donald Trump. The polls still indicate that Trump has a 5-point lead in the state, so that's pretty good. Next state that's a background, state of Michigan. Michigan has incumbent Democrat Senator Gary Peters against Republican very strong challenger John James. This is probably one of the hardest races in the country to call. You might be surprised about it. I know many people are not thinking Michigan's going to go red in the Senate, but it could. John James had run in 2018 and lost to Debbie Stabenow, but Gary Peters is not Debbie Stabenow. Gary Peters is not really well known, and John James is because he just ran, and he's a very strong candidate. So you'd be surprised. For the benefit of the doubt, I'll say Gary Peters barely wins because of the incumbent advantage, but it could change. State of Georgia Special. I'm going to say it is contested at the time until we know that Doug Collins is probably going to be the Republican nominee because there is a special election. It's a jumbo primary. So, they all put them on one ballot on November 3rd, election day. No one gets above 50%. They go to a runoff election on January 5th, 2021. So, we might not know who the Senate majority is till 2021. But if Doug Collins does become one of the top 2 contenders, it probably won't be as contested anymore, but you never know. Next state we have is the state of North Carolina. North Carolina is definitely going to be contested. Tom Tillis is in a close race with Democrat challenger Cal Cunningham. Trump still does have a lead edge in North Carolina by 0.3%. I don't know if Tom Tillis has. I should check on that. But I do believe Tom Tillis at this point might not win. I have no idea. It's like back and forth, back and forth. Some polls have Tom Tillis up by 1, up by 2, then some has Cal Cunningham up by 2, up by 1. It just goes back and forth. It could be even. You know how that goes. The last state we have is Maine, and the incumbent Susan Collins, who wins in blowouts every year except the first year she was elected sometime in the 90s. I believe it's 96. And now she is in a competitive race because of controversial votes, like confirming Justice Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court, voting to acquit on both articles of impeachment. So you never know. It goes back and forth. They do think Sarah Gideon has a good lead, but you never know. Susan Collins can still win because she has been in the seat for a while. She does have an incumbent advantage, and she's still extremely bipartisan, even on those 2 votes. So at this point, we have 46 Democrat seats and 46 Republican seats, 8 battleground states, which means no one has the edge in this Senate election year. But if I had to say it myself, I'll say Republicans kind of have an edge because Montana leans to them, Kansas leans to them, Iowa leans to them, North Carolina's a pure toss-up, same with Maine. Democrats lean in Michigan. Democrats also lean in Arizona. So you never know who can win. So I want to thank you for all watching this video. Please like this video, subscribe if you wish, comment if you wish, and hope to see you guys again in the future.